Hypothermia occurs when a person's body temperature rises above the normal 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Most frequently, this occurs during the heat of the summer and among the elderly. However, it can also be triggered by other medical conditions or certain medications. The two most common causes of hypothermia are drug-induced and heat stroke. Rapid cooling is the main therapeutic method for hypothermia. Ice bath submersion is the most effective way of cooling. People with drug-induced hypothermia may need intubation and paralysis to reduce body temperature. Hypothermia is usually self-diagnosable. A temperature of 104 degrees Fahrenheit or higher is life-threatening. Confusion, nausea, vomiting, and rapid breathing are some symptoms. It's critical to move a person with hypothermia to a cooler environment. Let them rest and rehydrate. Make sure you seek emergency care.
There are different stages of hyperthermia based on the severity of the symptoms and the body's temperature. Let's take a look at each of these, starting with the mildest form and increasing in severity from there. 1. Heat syncope. This is characterized by sudden dizziness in hot weather. It's a warning sign that the body is becoming overheated and is a signal to hydrate, rest, and put your legs up if possible. 2. Heat rash. The body physically manifests red bumps and the skin becomes itchy and irritated. 3. Heat cramps. The muscles tighten in the stomach, arms, and legs as a result of elevated temperatures. At this point, it's time to drink water, rest, and try to cool off. 4. Heat edema. The ankles and feet swell due to the body retaining fluids. Try to elevate the legs to relieve symptoms.
Uncontrolled breathing, intense shivering, mental confusion, loss of coordination, cold and blue skin, irregular heartbeat, weak pulse, enlarged pupils.
Cold, wet temperatures can result in a lowering of the internal body temperature. Hypothermia and frostbite are the most dangerous cold-related conditions.
John, stop! Stop, he's waving. Hi, how's it going?
My car's stalled. I've been out here a long time.
Okay.
Hypothermia, a generalized cooling of the body, occurs when the internal core body temperature has decreased to 95 degrees Fahrenheit or less. It is a life-threatening condition. Body processes become impaired and eventually fail. To help recognize hypothermia, look for signs such as pale, cold skin, uncontrollable shivering, loss of coordination, difficulty speaking, and an altered mental status. Severe hypothermia can result in the loss of shivering and a slowing of the breathing and heart rate.
Move the person indoors or somewhere warm quickly. Once the person is in a warm environment, carefully remove any wet clothing and dry them. Cover them with warm blankets, towels, or coats, making sure to protect their head and torso. If possible, give the person warm drinks or high-energy foods. Only do this if they can swallow normally. Once the person's body temperature has risen, keep them dry and warm. There are things you shouldn't do when helping somebody with hypothermia because it may make the condition worse. 1. Don't put the cold person into a hot bath. 2. Don't use heating lamps. 3. Don't give them alcohol. If a person is unconscious, this is because the cold has caused their heart rate to slow, making them gradually lose consciousness. This is probably because they have severe hypothermia.
The day U.S. Air Flight 1549 touched down in New York's Hudson River, the water temperature was 41 degrees Fahrenheit.
So we're going to demonstrate right now what it looks like and what happens to a person when they're in 41-degree water.
Now, before one of the hosts gets into the tank, let's quickly rewind. Our universe was formed 13.7 billion years ago, following the Big Bang. Okay, let's rewind a little less. That's better. It took 700 pounds of crystal party ice to bring the nearly 200 gallons of water in the tank to the proper temperature, 41 degrees. 15 minutes of exposure to water at this temperature will result in unconsciousness. In 90 minutes, you'll be dead. And after 2 hours, you become your own Ben & Jerry's flavor.
Now, we're not kidding, Travis. Water is 41 degrees Fahrenheit, the same temperature it was on January 15th when the plane went into the Hudson, all right?
Now, Travis, once you're in there, we're going to give you the seat cushion to simulate you actually have to hold on to this thing while you're freezing.
Yeah, for as long as you're conscious.
All right. And remember, if you don't stay conscious the whole time, I'm not saying it's bad for the show. I mean, those are the kind of things that make YouTube hits.
It'd be really funny. It'd be really cool. Oh.
How is it? $10 a screen. All right. Now, just so that you know, we did not do this willy-nilly. We have a thoracic surgeon with us, Dr. Harmik Sukasian from Cedars-Sinai. He's going to monitor Travis.
Hypothermia is a situation wherein the body's been deprived of its normal thermal regulation, usually cold air or cold water, which then basically suck the heat out of the body.
When you took this intern, Travis, did you think it would be this exciting? Is it cold or are you just acting?
I quit.
You're not getting paid. You can't quit.
This is Dr. Harmik Sukasian, a cardiothoracic surgeon from Cedars-Sinai Hospital.
Cold water is much more dangerous than cold air in that cold water will rob the body of its heat 32 times faster than cold air will.
The doctor is supervising our demonstration.
Well, when you get in cold water such as this, you know, your initial reaction is to take a big gasp like he did.
He will also provide emergency aid if there are signs of shock, incoherence, or cardiac arrest in Brad Sherwood. These experiments make him crazy nervous. And what are the signs of hypothermia?
The order of events that you would expect would be initially shock, where a person is disoriented. Once they become oriented, they'll try and thrash around. They start shivering. They start having teeth chattering. His heart rate's doing okay, it's rising. Then they'll start losing their ability to have normal thought processes. They become less oriented. They become less lucid.
In the field of medicine, this inability to think clearly is known as, quote, going Busey. Continued exposure to the frigid water will next lead to the loss of fine motor skills, followed by a loss of the shivering reflex and the body's ability to keep warm.
My muscles are seizing.
They start cramping and they can't perform almost any motor activities such as keeping themselves afloat.
I can't feel my fingertips.
Eventually what happens is that your temperature in your body comes down so low that it starts affecting your heart. And if your heart gets affected, then your heart will stop. And if your heart stops at that point, certainly you will die.